Hello, hi there, and welcome. My name is Kylie. I am the Author Whisperer, and I am the person who supports newbie, budding authors, wannabe authors, getting their fantastic books out of their hearts and into the world. And today I am going to talk about a very hot topic amongst new authors and old authors and all types of authors, and that is choosing a title and being able to understand what's going to work and how to even pick it. Now, if you're at any stage of writing your book, you know that this is a gnarly one, and yeah, I totally agree. It can stop you in your tracks. It can confound you for far longer than it should. And I wanted to share my own personal experience just recently, because I have just changed the title of my Facebook group, which obviously is not quite the same thing. But I've also gone through title changes with books, and obviously have some stories around picking titles for books as well. So I thought this would be a good opportunity, especially since I just changed the name of my Facebook group. So I changed it from A Book That Sells, which the reason I called it that in the first place was, I guess I wanted to differentiate myself, or what can I say? I wanted to express that what I bring to the table for authors is the fact that I have a copywriting background, and what I do is I work with authors in the kind of marketing aspect of their books so that they write books that sell. That is definitely what one of the things I think is super important. I really think if you've got something worth saying, then you might as well have it out there for people to read it. And if they're not buying the book, they're not reading it. So you've got to make a book that sells. You've got to create a book that sells. And so all of my copywriting techniques, and so let me explain a little bit about copywriting. So copywriting is, it's the art of using words to sell something, basically. So pretty much all advertising that you see has had a copywriter create the words and maybe even make suggestions around images, but certainly the word part of it. So there's another thing that's called copywriting, which is spelt with a R, and that's like when you copyright your book or your piece of material to kind of protect the material. This is copywriting with a W, W-R-I-G-H-T, and that is the stuff that, if you've ever watched the show Mad Men, a lot of them are copywriters. When they sit there thrashing around, you know, what are we going to have, what's the hook going to be for this this advertisement or whatever. They're all copywriters. That's copywriting. That's what we do as copywriters. So I've worked on, you know, sales pages and Facebook ads and landing pages, and I guess all the things, the words that are going to entice someone to make a purchasing decision or to take some kind of action. That's what a copywriter does. So as an author, I brought to bear I bring to bear some of the aspects of copywriting into my work as an author. It really has helped me with choosing titles for the book, absolutely, but right through, like the whole aspect of marketing the book is something that I teach happens before you publish. A lot of authors think that, okay, you write the book, you publish it, and then you start working about how you're going to market it. And I go, no, it happens before. It happens right at the beginning. In fact, the earlier on you start thinking about this stuff, the better. So that's the way that I support authors in that, you know, in the ability to write a book that sells. However, the reason that I changed the title to a book, okay, so what have I changed the title to? I've changed the title to Books That Make a Difference by Authors Who Give a Damn. I think that's what it's called. And that really is because what I was finding is that for myself and the people I was working with and the people I guess I was attracting to my work were definitely people who wanting to get their message out, and they were wanting to share a story, a skill, knowledge, wisdom, information, their particular take on something that meant a lot to them. It's something that I guess, you know, something that was in their heart, that they felt the world needs to know this. And I've personally felt like that about every single one of my books. It's like a passionate feeling that you know, if people knew this, if people only knew this, how much difference it would make to them. So that was resonating with me a lot. And I was like, you know what? The title of a book that sells is not conveying that at all. It's actually much more on a superficial level. And what I was finding with, so I'd actually say 100%. I'm just trying to think. Yeah, pretty much 100% of the people that I've been working with, it is more about the heart stuff. Now, I still want to bring in the copywriting aspects. I still want to bring in the saleability, but I guess that's not front and center of people's minds. When you're working with me, and if you do any of my courses, you will find that you know, I'm going to weave that in, because what's the point of having an important message if it's not getting out there? I'm going to keep hammering on and hammering on about that, because that is just so important. So important. Otherwise, you know, you might as well just keep a journal. Like, it might as well just be a journal, right, if no one's going to read it. So the saleability is going to come into it, but it's not front and center. It's not the first and most important thing, okay? In my mind, it kind of is, but the way that I'm going to put it forward from going forward is, yeah, it's about writing a book that makes a difference, writing a book that matters, writing a book that the world needs to hear, to make the world a better place, to benefit the world. So, you know, I kind of figured, well, I had already changed the name of the Facebook group once before. You know what it was originally called? Only a couple of people know this. That's Heidi and Lisa. It was originally called Authors in Pajamas. Because this whole group was sort of born out of a writer's retreat that I did with a couple of friends, and I figured, you know, this was something that I wasn't quite ready to kick it off, but I knew it was going to happen, so I put it together way back then. Anyway, change of title of the Facebook group is very much aligned with what will happen when you write your book. So be prepared for changes. Be prepared for things to kind of, you know, get interesting as you're writing a book. You never know what might happen. And I can guarantee that title change is something that will happen. You will have a title in mind, and I really highly recommend that you do start with a working title. And pretty much any famous author, if you've read any of their books or seen any interviews, they all say they do this. They start with a working title, just like something that's gonna come out there that they can kind of hang. It's a hook to hang the book on, so that, you know, they have a you know, something to relate to that's got a term, a title. But that's going to change. Almost in 99% of cases, that will change by the time you get 3/4 of the way through your book. And often it's at about that halfway, 3/4 way, that you start seeing the shape of your book. So being very loose with the title, and being able to go with the flow and listen to your intuition, and listen to the messages, I guess, maybe is a way of saying it. Listening to when, as your writing is progressing, listening to how that is coming together and what it's telling you is going to advise what you end up calling your book, the title and subtitle that you end up giving it. Now, on top of that, I really do think you need to weave in, and this is something that, this is where my copywriting skills are definitely show themselves, and this is where a lot of other authors who don't have that sales head on, this is where they miss the point of a title. And I've given a whole, I have a whole training. I think if you look back in some of the videos, I've got a whole training on titles. I think it's like a 1-hour training. But what happens is that if you yes, you want to have a title that talks to your heart, but more importantly, way more importantly, you want to have a title that speaks to the heart of your potential readers. Like way more importantly. And that's where the sales hat comes on. I mean, that's what selling is. It's creating something that someone else is going to want to buy. So the name that you give it will make a difference to how they relate to it, if they even relate to it. See, that's the other thing. A lot of the times when you name something purely based on your own heart and what means a lot to you. I've given this example a lot of times, but my first book is a perfect example of that. So my first book was called Bodyworkers Success Blueprint. Now, that title spoke to my heart. Didn't speak to my potential readers' hearts at all, and so that affected its sales. It was something that meant a lot to me, but it didn't translate in a copywriting sales sort of aspect. So you need to have a good combination of both. I ended up changing that title, just as an aside, to the Massage Therapist Success Manual. So from Bodyworkers Success Blueprint to Massage Therapist Success Manual. And that's because massage therapist and body worker do basically mean the same thing. But a lot of people aren't familiar with the term body worker, and everyone's familiar with the term massage therapist. Okay? So you need to have something that people are actually going to be searching for, a searchable term. Those need to come into it. So don't just call your book something that means something to you, but will make it difficult to find. So it's kind of a marriage of those two things, and that's why I think it is super important, but don't get bogged down on it. Give yourself a working title, knowing that will probably change as the book progresses, just like my Facebook name changed as the group itself progressed, and we've just hit the milestone of 100 members, so yay. And I think that kind of makes sense. I felt like there was a lot of people in the group and a lot of people that I'm working with who, to them, the most important thing, and I relate to this, is a book with heart, a book that makes a difference, a book that's going to benefit others. That's what it's about. And what I can bring, especially if you work with me in a one-on-one aspect, I definitely bring in my copywriting, conversion, persuasive language into a lot of the back-end marketing, so that when your book is ready to publish, it's already incredibly attractive and it's going to connect with the right people. So I guess that's what I would call the perfect marriage of writing a book that makes a difference, but also writing a book that sells. So that's my little story, my little message for you today. And if this has spoken to you, or if you have, if this kind of makes sense to you or you resonate with it, then absolutely please share this with, or like this, or whatever you do, whatever format you're seeing this on. But definitely let other authors or people who are in that writing process know about it if you found this a useful tip. And at the moment, I do have some really fantastic offers with my coaching, and so I'm working one-on-one with people. So I still am taking one-on-one clients. In fact, I'm not going to stop doing that, but definitely it's, my time is going to become more limited as time goes on. So at the moment, my availability is pretty reasonable. But at the end of the year, there's going to be a change in the way that I structure things. So what I thought I'd do is, to finish this year off, I'm offering packages so people can buy at a, quite a reasonable, in fact, lower than it would normally be price, one-on-one coaching packages with me. So that would be a package of 5 coaching sessions, which is the perfect number to kind of get you through a difficult hump in your writing process. It could be that final phase to get it out to market. It could be the actual launch process itself, working with a launch team, or it could be the beginning phase or any other part. Honestly, I have lots of different aspects that people work with and that I support people with, so that they find that journey is a lot smoother. And you know, writing is such a solitary experience that it is really nice. In fact, one of the other roles that I offer people is also looking over things like their description and giving them you know, feedback on that, or even reading their actual book. You know, obviously that's slightly different to the coaching, but you know, it doesn't have to be a solitary experience, put it that way. I guess that's the thing. And when you have a coach in your corner, when you have a mentor, someone who is supporting you, working with you in that space, it really does make it, it helps with the accountability. It helps with your taking action and making things happen. And that, oh my God, it's probably, because it's a solitary experience, that is the biggest mistake that us authors make. We do it all on our own, and then because we don't have anyone that we're answering to, we put it aside and we let life get in the way, and that half-written books are sitting there in your drawer, mouldering away, sitting there in your hard drive, you know, kind of just gathering cyber dust. And that is just, it's not on. It's soul destroying, it's draining. It's actually physically, energetically draining. Having a half-finished work, or even a finished work, but something that you haven't pushed play on, it is actually energetically draining, because it is always there in the back of your mind. So you are, I don't know what's going on with my hair. You are aware of it being there. It's always in the back of your mind, but you're not taking action on it, and that will take energy away from you and will actually affect everything that you do going forward. It will stop you writing any new material, or it will make you, you kind of are beating up on yourself all the time. So if you are one of those people who has a half-finished or even finished manuscript of a book that you've written, or you're in the process of writing, sitting there in the drawer, having a coach, I guarantee you, if I'm your coach, I do not let you get away with that shit. I will kick your ass. I will definitely make sure that you take action, that you take, that you push play, that you actually make things happen. This is what makes the difference between a published author and a wannabe author. And there's a million wannabe authors walking around out there, and I don't want you to be one of them. I want you to be an actual author. It's not nearly as hard as you think. And watch my live stream from yesterday, because I actually went through the entire process, and that's what I'm going to be working on over the next few days. Is actually like like sort of a little ebook which goes through the process of self-publishing, because a lot of people get overwhelmed by it. They don't quite understand how easy it is, and how it's like, if you can, I don't know, if you can tie your shoelaces, if you can send an email, if you can bake a cake, God, if you can bake a cake, you can publish a book. That's for damn sure. Baking a cake's way more complicated. You know, oh yeah, there's a few steps that you have to take. There's a few processes that you have to follow, but honestly, nothing that is very difficult at all. The most difficult part is, without a doubt, writing it and self-editing it. Once you've done that, you are home and host. So I would love to work with you one-on-one. I'd love to support you getting that book out of your heart, out of your head, and into the world, so that we can all benefit from your beautiful knowledge and your, you know, the wisdom that you have to share. That's really what this is about. All right, awesome. If you're interested in working with me one-on-one, like I said, I have some very special packages. What you need to do is PM me, and we can talk. Obviously, we have to be a fit for each other, so I do like to have a chat with you first before we take any step further. But that would be step one. Send me a message. Let's sort of see how this is going to work, and I would be really excited to support you in whatever stage of your author journey you are, and be the author whisperer for you. All right. Au revoir. Bye.